As Workers' Conversation, we've launched the Vision Zero, believing that all accidents, diseases, and harm at work are preventable.
Our Vision Zero, we believe all accidents and diseases are preventable, and they can come to zero. Our Vision Zero, we believe all accidents and diseases are preventable, and they can come to zero. Safety anywhere we need, health we wake up of it. Your well-being is our number one concern. Safety anywhere we need, health we wake up of it. Your well-being is our number one concern.
It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what you do. Commit yourself and champion this campaign. Hey, hey. Invest in people, but be a leader. Ensure self and health in what you do. Don't send it by zero.
Don't send it by zero.
It by zero.
Don't send it by zero.
It by zero.
Don't send it by zero. My only when we won't feel one. Don't send it by zero.
By zero.
Don't send it by zero.
By zero.
Don't send it by zero. That I want me when we won't feel one. Anywhere we need, help we wake up of it. Your well-being is our number one concern.
Hey, hey.
Safe anywhere we need, help we wake up of it. Your well-being is our number one concern.
It by zero. It by zero. It by zero.
Our Vision Zero is based on the belief that all accidents, diseases, and harm at work are preventable. Remember that lack of proper safety and health measures has claimed a number of lives. Therefore, let us hold hands and speak against every malpractice relating to safety and health issues. You and I are responsible for our own future. Vision Zero. Workers' Compensation Fund.
Welcome to part 2 of our webinar series on Vision Zero, entitled Beyond Compliance Towards a Preventive Culture by Vision Zero, a global strategy for safety, health, and well-being. It is evening here in Asia, daytime in the USA, afternoon in Europe, Africa, and down under, morning in Latin America, late afternoon in India, and evening in the Middle East. Welcome our participants from various parts of the globe. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Jinky Leilani Lu from the National Institutes of Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. I am also currently the chair of the Mining Occupational Safety and Health, or MinOSH in short, a scientific committee of the International Commission on Occupational Health, or ICOH. As chair, I am pleased to give the opening remarks. Last January 25, 2023, we had part 1 of this Vision Zero webinar series. We had a large number of participants as the topic on preventive culture is of utmost importance in the field of safety and health. Even in public health and medicine, preventive strategies to diseases, illnesses, and injuries are now gaining much of national and local governments' attention. This is because preventive medicine ultimately delivers the best reduction in healthcare costs and human suffering. Preventive culture to health is a defining and integral part of the universal health coverage as stipulated by the United Nations in its Sustainable Development Goal number 3 on health and well-being. This is the 6th webinar of ICOH MinOSH in collaboration with the International Social Security Association, or ISSA Mining, based in Europe. We have had several webinars held in 2021, 2022, and now in 2023. Today, we are joined by 243 registrants from 53 countries. Allow me to introduce as well our organization. MinOSH was founded in June 2015 at the ICOH Congress and in Seoul, South Korea. It is one of the newest scientific committees of the International Commission on Occupational Health. MinOSH, the organizer of this webinar together with ISSA Mining, has its goal the provision of a rich platform for theoretical and methodological approaches in mining and OSH research and advocacies. This is in order for our researchers to find their way to the doorsteps of policy makers nationally and globally. It is influencing policy with our evidence-based research. Our mother organization, ICOH, is the oldest scientific association in the field, founded in 1906. ICOH is recognized by the United Nations and has a close working relationship with the International Labour Organization and the World Health Organization. ICOH is changing the working lives of people around the globe through policy statements at the WHO, United Nations, and the ILO, eventually adopted and ratified by nation states that are signatories to these international governing bodies. Much talk and efforts are focused on public health and medicine, and that should be. But occupational safety and health, in short, OSH, sometimes takes a backseat in some countries. OSH is important. Why? Well, first, as economically productive individuals, we spend almost half or even 2/3 of our waking time at work. Second, employment and working conditions have powerful effects on workers' health and well-being. As a context, let me lay out the magnitude and scale of OSH injuries and diseases globally. The WHO-ILO Joint Estimates report, published in 2022, stated that in 2016, 1.88 million deaths and 89.72 million DALYs, or disability-adjusted life years, were estimated to be attributable to occupational risk factors. Diseases accounted for 80.7%, or 1.52 million of the deaths, and 70.5%, or 63.28 million of the DALYs. Imagine having all these diseases and injuries because of workplace exposures. And that is why working conditions should be looked into. MinOSH and ISSA Mining are launching this two-part webinar series to highlight the need for a culture of prevention in the area of OSH in the workplace. Lastly, I would like to say and state again the philosophy behind Vision Zero, and that is, no one should be killed or seriously injured at work or due to work. The Vision Zero is an expression of the ethical imperative that it can never be ethically acceptable that people are killed or seriously injured due to their workplace. Every worker has the right to return back home safely after work. Today, we are joined by renowned colleagues and speakers from various fields in occupational and public health, engineering, management, and leadership to talk on Vision Zero and preventive culture. There are 7 golden rules in Vision Zero. In part 1 of this webinar series, the main principles of Vision Zero were discussed at length: the foundational principles, leadership, and motivation of workers. Today, the other principles of Vision Zero will be discussed to complete our overall understanding, as well as some exemplary success stories from industries. Vision Zero is now being recognized also by the European Union. A more in-depth look and dive into Vision Zero will start in this part 2 of this webinar series. Our first speaker is Professor Gerard I.J.M. Zwetsloot. He will talk on the leading indicators of Vision Zero, managing proactive culture at work, and its implementation. Gerard is an independent researcher and consultant for safety, health, and responsible business based in the Netherlands. He is a leader in Vision Zero and the development of a prevention culture. In 2019 to 2020, he was the project leader of the team that developed a set of proactive leading indicators for the International Social Security Association's Global Vision Zero strategy and campaign. In 2019, Gerard received the Mukai Dono Safety Award, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Institute of Global Safety Promotion in Tokyo, Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Gerard Zwetsloot.
Okay, thank you, Jenky. I'll share also my screen. So that I will thank you for the nice introduction. And indeed, I will speak about leading indicators for Vision Zero and the relevance for the proactive culture at work and how you implement them. Well, you already summarized the essence of Vision Zero. And the question, of course, is it's a very nice idea and principle, but many companies are then confronted with the question, what shall we do? How can we do it? And with respect to safety, it is easy to say in hindsight that after an accident that it was not necessary, it could have been prevented. But the difficulty is, of course, to see that beforehand so that the accident will not happen. And similarly, it's easy to say that the frequency of incidents is too high or that we have too many health complaints. But then again, the question is that information triggers us to do something, but what shall we do? It doesn't give a clue to that. So there is a need for information that can support organizations to act more proactively for the prevention of accidents and work-related diseases, and which has a predictive value for the performance in safety, health, and well-being, and also can help organizations to identify their strengths and weaknesses in managing health and safety. And finally, if you have that information, it can help mutual learning and even benchmarking. Well, that is the idea, but this is the need that we try to fulfill with our project. So we came to the concept of proactive leading indicators, which can help to stimulate prevention right from the start of any process or activity, promote early active anticipation in case of warning signals, enhance organizational commitment for Vision Zero, help to develop the proactive prevention culture, manage processes of organizational or inter-organizational learning, and facilitate the process of planning to implementation about Vision Zero. And not in the least, it can create synergies between safety, health, and well-being. While in practice we see that safety, health and well-being are often different silos in a company. Well, let's first pay some attention to the meaning of the word proactivity. Proactivity has three meanings, basically. It is making prevention happen. It is anticipation of problems as early as possible, so that may bring you to the design stage or to the planning stage. And it is about seizing opportunities for improvement. If we think in terms of what the leaders can do, then it is also important that senior leaders, when they are proactive and want to stimulate it, they can create the conditions for prevention in the design of workplaces, work processes, tools, etc. Can lead a management system that really helps to anticipate and support learning from events and using opportunities for improvement, and being proactive also informally in terms of company culture. That is important to keep in mind, so we pay attention to creating the conditions to prevention as early as possible and to support learning and using opportunities for improvement. And that can then also be reflected in a proactive prevention culture where safety, health and well-being are highly valued and actively supported, where people and their health and well-being are at the center of concerns. Yinki, you mentioned already the ethical basis of it. I think that's also related to this putting people in the center of concerns. A proactive management system, so you can have a more reactive or more proactive management system. And it is characterized that both the formal rules and regulations in the organization, but also the informal rules, which are not so obvious, that they support safety, health and well-being, and also the proactivity in that respect. Practicing design thinking to improve safety, health and well-being, which is important in the design stage. And to make sure that potential problems or warning signals can be openly discussed is also a very important characteristic of this prevention culture. Now, we did in our project, we had contact with many companies around the globe. They were many organizations willing to share their experiences with us and the indicators they used. And then we came to the question how to select the best ones, and we selected on the criteria proactivity, relevance for safety, health and well-being, not only for one of the three. We were interested in things which are relatively easy to measure, because we know that large companies, they have all kinds of resources and they can do a lot, but to make it easy is really important for implementation, and certainly for the not so big companies. We were, of course, interested in evidence of effectiveness, which could be scientific evidence, but could also be convincing evidence from industrial practice. Usually that was only the case for safety. And of course, also these synergies were important for selecting the indicators. And here you see some of the companies and organizations that supported us. They were around the globe, from Chile, from Germany, from Finland, from the Netherlands, from the UK. You can name it, and I will not go into detail, but you see that there were also very prominent, well-known companies like Toyota, well-known for its managing of operational excellence, Siemens, which is one of the leading companies in innovative engineering, etc. And with respect to the evidence, I will give one very nice example which is the example of the London Olympics, which took place in 2012. And it was, when it was decided that these should be held in London, a big program was developed to make sure that safety and health were important in all the activities in the preparation, including all the construction of the not only of the stadiums but also of the buildings, of railroads, etc. In total, it was about 100 million working hours, and the project resulted in a very historically low accident rate, no fatalities for the first time ever. And also good indicators for well-being programs. And this project, this whole program was very extensively described and evaluated, and there were 5 important success factors determined in this natural experiment, so to say, from a scientific point of view. You can see it as a kind of experiment. And these were visible and impactful leadership. It was daily activity briefings, the following up of near misses. It was taking action on reports and recognition and rewards of good performances and safe working. And these 5 key success factors we have also included in our set of proactive leading indicators, sometimes with a little bit different terms. So daily activity briefings, we called it pre-work briefings. And following up near misses, we have called it learning from unplanned events, because near misses is very much a safety issue, and we also wanted to include health and mental health issues in this respect. So, but this is a kind of evidence that was available for us, but that depends a bit for each of the indicators. Finally, we defined 14 proactive leading indicators. Here we used the 7 golden rules, which was already mentioned by our host as one of the key characteristics of the Vision Zero. And we defined 2 proactive leading indicators for each of the 7 golden rules. So visible leadership, commitment, and competent leadership are related to the rule about leadership. Evaluating risk management and learning from unplanned events are linked to the risk evaluation and etc. Workplace and job induction and evaluating targeted programs is important for golden rule number 3. Pre-work briefings and planning and organization of work for number 4. Innovation and change and also procurement are very much important for the golden rules about technology and so on. Then we have initial training and refresher training for the training and education, and for investing in the employees, their development is the indicators are suggestions for improvement and recognition and reward. And these are just words that I use. You see on the right that we give a somewhat broader description with some more explanation, and I will show you how we can measure it in a minute. But all these, the information about our proactive leading indicators can be found in a guide which is published by the ISSA. It is now available in 9 languages, free of charge, and you can download it easy and find all the information about the proactive leading indicators there. For each of the proactive leading indicators, we also made a fact sheet And here you see an example of the fact sheet for pre-work briefings. All these fact sheets have the same kind of schedule. So you see the title, the aims, the key concepts, 5 good practices which are related to the indicator. Each indicator has also some limitations, and we thought it was fair to mention them. We have a section on how to measure them, where there are 3 options. I will go to that in a minute. And we give an example if you choose for the more complicated quantitative measurement, how you can communicate the results thereof also over time. Well, we see 3 options for using the indicators, and the first and most simple version is a kind of checklist, doing yes or saying yes or no. Are we doing it, or are we not doing it? The option 2 is a bit more elaborated. That is that we estimate the frequency of yes, we do it, but how often are we doing it? And that can vary between never and always. The option 3 is the quantitative measurements, where we try to have a figure based on the actual frequency or on a percentage. Then you have to measure it. That takes more energy and supportive actions in the organization to realize that. Well, let me give the example of the option 1, which is the most simple version, the yes and no checklist. Here I have examples for the indicators for rules, the golden rules number 1 and 4. So you can ask, do leaders visibly demonstrate their commitment to safety, health and well-being in their work processes and in their behavior? And what we say, it is important not only to look at safety, but also at health and well-being. And this can vary for each of the indicators, because some companies have a higher tradition of focusing on safety than on health, or let alone well-being. So that is important to be aware of. And also it helps you to say, hey, we do this for safety. For instance, are leaders selected based on intrinsic motivation or proven record in safety? Yes, but in health, no, or in well-being, no. Why not? And could we do that? So it gives immediately a clue to some actions and for improvement. And the same is true for the example below about the pre-work meetings, or is the organization of work systematically considering safety, health and well-being when planning and organizing work? Well, that's is not these are all important aspects for realizing Vision Zero, and the same is true for all the other proactive leading indicators. I would say if you use option 1, which is the easiest version, then please use all the 14 proactive leading indicators, because then you get a picture of where you are at the moment, and it is a very easy to apply tool. There's the second option, the frequency estimation, and then it is 5 options for the answer, between always and never or very rarely. So, for instance, this question about leadership commitment is then reformulated a little bit. And how often do leaders visibly demonstrate their commitment to integrating safety, health and well-being in their work processes and behavior? And you can answer them from 0 till 4. And here again, you can get a picture of where are we the best in the safety, health or well-being, and can we use it also for the other areas, which is our synergy idea. But of course, there is a kind of subjectivity in is it rarely or occasionally? And this is also very useful to discuss in a team setting with several people having maybe a different perception or different understanding that gives immediately rise to a meaningful conversation about, in this case, leadership commitment. But in other cases about the technology or about the education or about rewarding. And then you can see what can be improved, what are the strengths which we already have realized and where can we improve to make advances towards Vision Zero. Then there's option 3, which is the more quantitative measurement. So then it is how often are safety, health and well-being an integrated part of the discussions in pre-work briefings. Then is a kind of frequency that you have to measure. Sometimes it is a kind of percentage. How often is safety, health and well-being covered in the trainers of leaders and workers? Well, you can see, again, you can ask that kind of representation to show that what we are doing in safety is not yet developed in health or vice versa. So again, it gives a lot of opportunities for improvement. Well, about the implementation, I would say start with option 1, the checklist. That's the easiest part, and also it gives you immediately a picture for where do we set, what are the strengths and weaknesses. But it can be very useful to continue with the options 2 or 3. Especially, I think option 2 is very useful in using it in a team setting, in a management team, in a department team, with contractors on your side. And then, of course, you can, if you have used option 1 and the checklist for all the 7 golden rules and the indicators, then you can compare with the priorities that the company already have. It can be a reason to adapt the priorities, but it can also be useful to use the outcome to set priorities in following up the leading indicators. So then you select the most relevant indicators for the company priorities. And then you can implement the improvements. Of course, 14 indicators are a lot, so in terms of implementation, you don't have to start with all. It's better to do a few indicators, pay a lot of attention to them and use them optimally than to do everything, but not so good. Here again, you have more information in the guide, which is available in 9 languages at the moment, and there is also a paper which was published by our development team in the journal Safety Science, and it is also the Safety Science publication is available free of charge. Well, I can imagine that you have some questions about this, and I would like to give you the floor and give you the answer to answer. I would like to answer the questions you may have.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Gerard. Professor Gerard emphasized on proactive action, and true enough, proactive action, as he discussed, is part of the preventive culture, acting beforehand to prevent diseases and injuries. He also provided to us tools for how to appraise OSH in the workplace from simple to complex quantitative measure. What is new in this measure that he presented is the inclusion of new indicators culled from the Vision Zero philosophy. We will entertain your questions during the open forum. Our next speaker is Mireya Rifa Fabregat. Mireya has a degree in biology from Murcia University. She holds a diploma in business studies from London Guildhall University, a master's degree in health and safety from Francisco de Vitoria University, and top management program from Fundación San Telmo. She was awarded the title of Compliance Auditor in Health and Safety by the Spanish Labor Ministry. She holds Grad IOS certification and Euro SHM certification and is an ICOH member. She has been a member of the Special Liaison Association of Health and Safety Professionals in Spain, and from 2017 to present, she oversees as vice chair. Since 2016, she has represented the organization in the European Network of Safety and Health Professionals organizations, and she now serves as the president of this European Union organization on safety and health. To discuss beyond safety, health, and well-being at work, the new environmental guide of Vision Zero, Mireya Rifa Fabregat. Mireya?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon to everyone. I would like to say thank to Mrs. Jinky Liu for this opportunity, the chair of the MinOSH committee, and to Mrs. Helmut Ines, the ISSA Mining, the president, the chair of the ISSA Mining section, to let me to be here today to have this opportunity, and of course to say congratulations to that. My name is Mireya Rifa, and I am the INSPO president, and I'm here today to present to you the new guide about development that we have developed jointly between ISSA and INSPO based on the environment. But first, I would like to make you a short introduction on what is INSPO. Okay. INSPO is a European network of health and safety professional organizations that was established in 2001 under the umbrella of the European Agency of Health and Safety at Work, EU-OSHA. Our scope in action is at a European level, encompassing all the countries that make up the continent. And through participation in a number of strategic international networks, enable us to also offer an international view, like be participant in ISSA, ILO, or INSPO. Our mission is clear: to promote safety, health, and environment protection in all workplaces through Europe. How? Engaging with decision makers and regulators, leading and supporting initiatives to promote awareness and share best practice, and creating a community of engaged professionals. Our vision is to all EH professionals, E of about environment, in Europe will have a comparable body of knowledge and professional identity, and will perform their duties in all European countries with similar professional commitment, a strong ownership of their role, and ethical conduct. Some interesting fact: we were founded in 2001, as I have told you, but in 2019 we were refounded in Germany with official NGO status since then. We have changed our type of membership, and now only national associations with the same objectives as INSPO could be full members with the right of voting inside us. But we have extended our time of membership, and we have international associations, institutions, research centers, and other kind of institutions that could be share our aims and goals. And of course, we have incorporated donations from organizations that promote safety, health, and environment, and are relevant their management. We carry out many activities like serious webinars that we introduced last year with 5 different webinars where we promote the Vision Zero initiative, and that tomorrow, for example, we will have another one about gender perspective related to OSH professionals. We participate in European projects, and we collaborate so actively with the European Agency of Safety and Health, and of course with the ILO, where the next 4th of May, we will promote a webinar where we will to find out what implication the incorporation of safety and health as a fundamental right at work has at professional level. And of course, the reason why I am here, we are our total engagement and support with ISSA and Vision Zero initiative. Before I go through the Vision Zero guide, I would like to establish why it was developed. To continue, I would like to establish the basis of what sustainability is. The brutal report, it was published in 1987 for the United Nations, which confronts and contrasts the position of current economic development with that environmental sustainability. In this report, the term sustainable development was used for the first time. Sustainable development has been defined as the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It implies a very important shift in terms of idea of sustainability, mainly ecological, and a framework that also emphasizes the economic and social content of development. It therefore speaks of 3 fundamental elements: economic, social, and environmental growth. And only with a joint management of all of 3, it will be possible to speak about sustainability. Sustainability is based on 3 pillars I have mentioned above, but it's usual to see them expressed in a 3-Venn diagram, where it is clear that the key to sustainability lies in the areas where the 3 aspects are interrelated, as we can see in the diagram A and B, A, B, and C. It is true that in the beginning, sustainability became known mainly with its environmental aspect, incorporating a movement that related sustainability with environment and that have served to advance in the environmental improvements, creating a collective vision in this respect and generating investment and innovations. But also, this has meant a more partial vision of sustainability, as it was mainly related to its environmental sphere, and there has been a tendency to create parcels, and if they were independent when we talk about sustainability. As we can say, we talk about social sustainability or environmental sustainability. This partial vision, taken into account by areas, can generate negative impacts, such as giving priority to action to mitigate environmental impacts without considering the repercussions on the health and safety of workers, or creating tension about which priorities to take. This is why a global vision that encompasses all aspects is essential and necessary, and why the Vision Zero Environmental Guide is a partner of health and safety. And why environment is so important to us. And now, to be more clear, I would like to relate it by example. For example, if we consider air pollution, globally 9 out of 10 people breathe polluted area, but many people are unaware of the potential health and environmental impacts of poor air quality. The majority of these pollutants are emitted through human activities like burning fossil fuels, vehicle exhaust fumes, or emissions from agriculture and industry. How many people die from air pollution each year? The last World Health Organization study that comes on 2021 and was referring to the 2016 said that over 7 million people around the world die each year because of the air pollution. 4.2 million people die because of the outdoor pollution, and 3.8 million people die because of indoor pollution. That means that we have to take care, not around because the air pollution is generated outside of our workplace, because we have to take care about the air pollution is taken into in our workplace. Another example, his street that head stress that was caused about the climate change has produced many deaths last summer in the European region. Based on country data, we can estimate that at least 15,000 people died specifically due to the heat in 2022. Among those, we can share that nearly 4 deaths were in Spain, more than 1,000 were in Portugal, and more than 3,200 in the United Kingdom, and around 4,500 deaths were in Germany, only in the 3 months that was in summer. So what are the companies should take care? Well, the society as a whole has a responsibility to contribute to sustainability development. Business play a key role in this objective. We have to impact, the companies has the impact on collective and individual well-being is key. We have to improve people's lives through the products they offer and the service they provide. So they contribute to the economic and social development, but their activity has a direct effect on the environment. On the next 20 years, companies who are taking a lead on climate change will not only make their contribution to emissions production or to improve our environment, but will have the credibility and standing to invite staff, customers, and suppliers to follow them and to base on what they do and what they have pioneered on the products or services. So in these companies who are recognizing the synergies between cutting the GHG emission and increased productivity and revenue, that they will be the new future in business. And we have to take in account a very important aspect. We are considering that the workplace are increasing and the employees are the main part of our companies. So we have to take in account that the next generation are coming into our workforce. We have right now 5 generations working together. But the next generation will be millennials, generation Y, and generation Zeta. This kind of generation, they are so concerned about climate change, they are so concerned about social problems, and they are not imagining anymore that, for example, leadership is like, to respect them. They want to distract them, they want to choose them, they want to share the feelings about how is the growth, the economic growth of the company, and never forget what is going on about climate change and sustainability in their companies. So if we want to create to have the best workforce in our companies, we have to share and to the feelings of this kind of generation that are coming. And why? Because for the USA labor static projected say that in 2040, more than 64% of the workforce will be coming from General Zeta. So they are going to be in the next 10 years, they will be the next generation that will come our workforce. So those companies that are not sustainable, and they don't incorporate sustainability in their aims on their culture will have no workforce because nobody will want to work with them. As a report, you can see that, for example, who is willing to spend at least 10% of more of sustainable products? Generation Zeta are increasing every year. If we compare data from 2021 from 2019, they are increasing. So the next generation, millennials and Generation Zeta, they are our not only consumers and they are our workforce too. So they are considering the sustainability, the main point for the products and services they are going to consume. So what is the role of employees when the sustainability is implemented? And this is so important because we are talking about some return of investment that our employees will have when we implement sustainability in our companies. We will have a healthy and eco-friendly work environments. We will have lower health risks and healthcare costs. We will support employee mental and physical health. We will purpose driving for work culture. We will greater employee retentions, and this is one of the problems we have sometimes right now about the talent retention of our employees. We will have employee satisfaction and sense of purpose. We have a strong employee engagement. And of course, and this is related to the economic growth, we will improve our productivity. So as we can see, if the companies want to be sustainability, and we want to keep our employees, we have to take in account not only health and safety, even though environment. And why and how we can do that? We can do through the environmental management and protection, because it's the process of safeguarding the environment by monitoring humans' interaction with their environments and the various components in them. So with the environmental management, we can evaluate the impact of human activities on the environment through the environmental management. And it helps us to control and limit the damage we cause because of our productions and procedures of work into the environment. For example, the environmental management reduces the chance of risk of environmental incidents, improves companies' reputation by promoting their brand image as eco-friendly, and it helps to secure the market, which further helps them gather clients and lower their operation costs. Environmental management helps to improve public health and the overall health of the ecosystem, and increases the workforce knowledge about the impact of careless business policies on the environment and focuses on their attention on adapting ways that will help reduce environment depletion. It will help us to combat all main types of pollution: air, water, land, thermal radiation, and noise pollution. And it helps to set objectives and different frameworks for training to achieve optimum results. Achieving optimum utilization of resources by following proper and maintaining consistency throughout the process. So why it's important to link Vision Zero, safety, health, and well-being, and with environment? Because if we are talking about sustainability in our company, in our organizations, we have not to forget any type of the three aspects of sustainability. Vision Zero initiative about environment was started in February 2021 because our through our ENSPO international group of working group, we consolidate five countries working together to develop this guide with the help of Mr. Helmut Ines and Mr. Bernd Rachel. The main point of the idea of to create this or develop this guide was to maintain the 7 golden rules and of course the aim and goals that was created about Vision Zero, health and safety. Why environment? Why health and safety? Why about well-being? Because always with Vision Zero, people, it's at the core. We take care about health, we can take care about well-being, we can take care about safety, and we can take care about environment. That means that when we are talking about our employees, our workers, we are taking all these phases into account to preserve their health and safety. But we are not talking about, climate change in general in a global overview. We are not talking about the forestry. We are not talking about oceans, or we are not talking about, technology. We are talking about what are my company, take care about environment in our production line. So when we are talking about environment, we are talking about the environment at work, which is the process. Which process of my production are taking have any impact about the environment? We are talking about waste, we are talking about effluents, we are talking about emissions, we are talking about recycling, we are talking about energy. So this is all the aspects about environment that we have to take into account when we think about environment at work. The targets of the guide are so clear: to provide an accessible and easy tool to all the organization, and with a special aspect to the small and medium companies, because they have, they have not all the resources to afford the environment. We want to build a solid environmental awareness and ownership and start an environmental culture similar to the Vision Zero culture based on health and safety. We want to encourage an integration of the E of environment in the health and safety, and this is absolutely needed for the organization and the key point to start the sustainability process: operation, bridging health and safety, social with environmental and operational efficiency. We have to have consistency with the Vision Zero approach, replacing the zero incident focus with a zero impact on the environment. This is the cover that the Vision Zero Environment Guide was launched last October in the ISSA forum in Marrakech. This is our, the index with the Vision Zero environmental guide. As you can see, if you are used to use Vision Zero golden rules, we have lead the 7 golden rules, just adapting them to the perspective of environmental. We have at the end of the guide, we have an annex with a key concept and definition to will help the people to implement the guide. As you see, we can share and we can see that, the 7 golden rules for the health and safety are similar to the environment headings. We have only main difference between 4 and 5 golden rules, because for number 4, it's ensure an environmental system be well organized, and number 5, that ensure operational processes and workplaces that are considering environmental aspect. Golden rule 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 that are based on leadership and training, they keep all the same, because we are considering that if there is not leadership engagement coming from the top of the company or the organization, we cannot develop or implement it any time of the Vision Zero golden rules. And just to finish, the future is now, and if you are ready to join us, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are still muted, Jinky.
Thank you, Rita Fabregat. As she put it earlier, zero incident, zero accident also means zero adverse impact on the environment. So it is indeed possible to continue and to combine sustainable occupational safety and health management systems with economic growth, as well as the protection of the environment and the ecosystem. And this, I believe, is the new environmental guide of Vision Zero. Now we proceed to our third speaker. Ricardo B. Meister is the project safety manager of Pueblo Viejo Gold Mine Barrick Gold Corporation in the Dominican Republic. Ricardo is an industrial engineer, PhD candidate in organizational engineering, and master in safety, ergonomics, and industrial hygiene, with significant experience in development projects for different mining operations during the last 15 years, holding managerial positions. He is an active member of ISSA Mining, supporting the Vision Zero strategy, as is an advisor to the ISSA Mining Advisory Council. He currently serves as safety manager for the Pueblo Viejo Gold Mine expansion projects in the Dominican Republic. To talk on Vision Zero implementation, a success story from industry, Ricardo V. Meister.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I will share my screen. Great. I think you can see it now. Please can confirm you that the presentation is online.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for the invitation and the opportunity to be here speaking to you about our promotion of Vision Zero. I think it's very important for us to share our experience, and I would like to start saying that in the invitation I invited to speak about a success story, but it is not really a success story yet, because actually it's a story yet to be told. I'm going to speak about our project, which is called the expansion project of the actual mining plant here in the Dominican Republic. These expansion projects not only comprises the actual plant, but also other projects related with the expansion of the plant. For instance, I will tell you about this, other projects such as resettlement of the community and the building of a new TSF facility. So just to put you in context, here's the location of our project, just in the middle of the Dominican Republic. It's not in the coast as you may would like to be, but it's just in the middle of the island. Our actual project, it's a capital of about $2.4 billion. It comprises 3 years of construction, more than 20 million man hours, and it is a brownfield project, so we need to implement our processes inside the actual processing plant, which is in process actually. So we need to create a system that has to be in coherence with the standards of the actual operation. We are speaking about 4,700 people. So from our perspective, it's a very important project where we should involve all of our people and protect all of our people, because it's not only 5,700 people, but also 5,700 families. The expansion project implies other 3 high impact projects, as I said before. One is the resettlement of a full community in the nearby areas, which implies also the construction of a new town for these people, the construction of a pack conveyor and a whole road, and a new tailings storage facility, because the operations will imply lots of new materials to be dumped into this facility. This is the actual picture of the existing plant. We're implementing and constructing tanks, the oxygen plant, the new mill building, and other facilities. So this is a challenge in terms that we need to create a system, a safe system that not only addresses the construction and the contractors, but also the operations. So it is very important to have very clear rules, to have a very clear strategy on how can we protect all the people inside the plant as well. This is the actual project for resettlement. As you can see in the left picture, you can see the PV, the Pueblo Viejo mine in the bottom part of the picture. In the upper part of the picture, you can see the actual town, which is called Cotuí. It's a large population, and we are going to build a new town in the right side of the picture. So you can see how much big is this project to be implemented in next years. It's about relocating about 800 families in a landscape size of approximately 3 square kilometers, and the house plot size is about 300 square meters, which will imply the build of 7 community buildings, 3 churches, 1 school, 1 sport facility, and 629 agriculture fields we should brought to each family. So it's a large project. The capital budget is about $250 million, and the construction phase will be implemented in between June this year until July and 2025. The other project is the construction of a new tailings storage facility, a TSF, which is also required to construct a new pack conveyor that connects the TSF facility with the actual process plant. This construction is going to be huge, because the actual project is going to be about 3 times the existent TSF. This construction will start on 2023 this year, and will finish on December 26. So the actual project, as I said before, has executed about 15 million man-hours. We are in the 84% of progress. We are managing 7 different construction packages involving more than 20 contractors. And as I said before, more than 4,700 people in the peak. So far, we have no fatalities. We only had 1 lost time incident and 8 registrable or significant injuries incidents, which implies that our rate of incidents is less than 0.5 in 2 years of construction, which is a very good result in terms of a rate. However, the group Barrick has suffered 8 different fatalities in the last year in different operations. Pueblo Viejo was not the exception. In the operations of the plant, there was a fatality last year regarding a worker that suffered fall from heights. All the 8 cases have been related to different causes, but we need to address the fact that we need to change this trend urgently, because of course it not only affects our operation, but also the families, also the friends of these people, and affects the operations as well very, very highly. In these cases, we need to highlight the fact that our contractors have been involved suffering more than 95% of these severe and fatal accidents. So for us, the contractors are key to success. We need to involve them and consider the contractors as our partners. And the first concerns is to be involved in this designing of the safety system. So one of our perspectives is to start to create the sensation and the system and environment that everyone understands that this is one team and one mission. We don't have the culture still that we need. We understand that contractors are part of the system and part of our culture, but we need to change that, and we are in the process to create instances that allows us to create that culture. So at the end, we need a strong safety approach towards our Vision Zero philosophy and perspective. So we need a strategy for more than statements rather than action, to focus on implementation, to have a practical approach, to have a contractors alignment, to have them all in the same page, building a strong leadership behavior, continuously enhancing our safety culture, and having clear standards and procedures. Most of the accidents, it is necessary to highlight that most of the fatal accidents, almost 90% of them, the root cause of them has been because some people did not follow the procedures. So it is very important for us to have those procedures, despite the fact that, of course, it all comes out of leadership. It all comes out of rules, clear rules, and clear understanding that every single workplace has to be safe, has to be protected, and that everyone must be involved in such endeavor. So at the end, we are aiming to create a health and safety management plan. This is our strategy. I just delivered the first draft of this new document, which is going to be delivered to all contractors, all parties, which is based on the Vision Zero philosophy and of the 7 golden rules, which of course is needed to be implemented. However, because of the 7 golden rules are understood in the mining industry as a life-saving rules, as I said, golden rules put into practice, for instance, working at heights, confined spaces, earthworks, and so on, we needed to change the name. Helmut will be killing me about this. the definition of the 7 essentials. We call them essentials, not 7 golden rules, but it's the same approach. So we are defining a set of core processes to have a clear understanding of our expectations on how to implement these 7 essentials and put them into practice. Another important issue for us is to highlight the commitment to everyone having the authority to stop any unsafe activity. This has been a challenge because most of the contractors try to understand that perhaps giving the authority to every worker to stop activities will imply more time, more construction efforts, and at the end, more costs. However, our policy has been very clear at the moment. We are creating this environment so every single participant of the project has this authority and has the commitment to protect not only their lives, but also the others. So our perspective, our strategy is to put this health and safety management plan into practice. It's not only a statement. It is not only a definition. It's not a document that could be stored in the drawer. But rather than that, we are creating a system where this document is a live project. It's a live document. It will be the first requisite for contractors to bid for work. So no contractor shall be invited if they're not committed to participate in this strategy. This health and safety management plan will be part of the contracts. It shall commit and translated into time and resources, which are going to be requested to be part of this of the costs of the project. So every contractor has to include these costs into their programs. And of course, we need to speak about responsibility, liability, and accountability, particularly from the management and the directors of the project. And as I said, we define the 7 essentials or golden rules translated into rules for actions. So this is the core processes I have been speaking of. We are talking about leadership, the legal requirements, the bidding process, the organization roles and responsibilities, involvement of the workers, learning, training, and competence, risk management, incident management, indicators and performance, site management, hazardous substance management, occupational health and safety management, safe work practices and procedures, machine tools, equipment and maintenance, cranes and lift equipment, commissioning, emergency response, reporting, compliance, and document management. As you can see, most of these processes are related with the 7 golden rules. So it's, again, is the perspective of having these 7 golden rules put into practice to translate them into the requirements of an actual construction project. These core processes are really needed to fully understand how to behave, how the procedures to be constructed and implemented on site. So, as I said, we have just started this journey to create a Vision Zero, a zero harm workplace. It is necessary to understand that things have happened. Accidents possibly will happen in the near future, but this is a start point. We are creating a new approach, we are creating a new strategy, and we are really convinced that this is the correct way to go. So it is a story yet to be told. There are, just for finishing, our policy says that everyone has to go back home safe and sound every day. So thank you very much for your attention. This is our project, and I hope everything has been clear. And of course, I will be more than happy to answer all your questions.
Thank you, Ricardo V. Meister. That was a very interesting and challenging talk on your part. It is heartwarming to know about the settlements, the new town, and the construction of tailings dam but it's also heartbreaking to hear about the fatality and serious injuries that occurred in the workplace. What is clear in Ricardo's talk is that Vision Zero is systems-oriented. When a worker fails to follow safety rules, it is not only the worker's fault, but a systems failure and leadership failure. This, I believe, is a new or renewed perspective offered to us by Vision Zero. And definitely, it is a journey to zero accidents and zero deaths in the workplace. Our next speaker is Dr. Bettina Nickel. She is the former owner of the medium-sized company Johannes Nickel Quarries, located in the heart of Germany. Within her position as acting director within the family, she gained intensive leadership experiences. Now, she works as a major consultant for safety and health and offers leadership trainings for Vision Zero for employers and frontline managers. To share with us Vision Zero implementation, another success story from industry, SME leadership, Dr. Bettina Nickel.
Hello? Can you hear me? Listen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chinky, for introducing me to the participants and the audience. Thank you, Chinky, Mukta, and Helmut, too, for inviting me to this interesting and important conference. My name is Bettina. In the next 20 minutes, I will give you a view into my former occupational life when I was responsible for the staff and the staff management of a small company with 65 employees. As Chinky already mentioned, the name of the company is Johannes Nickel GmbH & Co. KG. We are situated in the heart of Germany and belong to the MHI group. This is a group of quarries, asphalt sites, and concrete factories. And our company was grounded in 1881. It's about 142 years old now. I'm reporting about occupational safety and health measures in the time period of 2005 to 2020. It's a range about 15 years when I started my work, and I had some events that brought me to the occupational safety and health issues. This was not planned when I started that job, but it happened, and this is the story about it. At first, I give you the company's portrait. It's a company which produces mineral aggregates for construction purposes. We had 4 quarries, 3 landfill sites with recycling, and 2 sites for asphalt production. We were producing about 1 million tons of mineral products a year with about, as I mentioned before, 65 employees. And as I mentioned before, we belong to the MHI group since 2004. As you can see here on the landscape, we are in the heart of Germany, and the other quarries of the MHI group too. At first, I want to talk about what characterizes a small company in the construction sector. Maybe you know some of these small companies. I think they are a little bit similar all over the world. They have conservative values. They are less proactive. They have a less number of female employees. They pay less attention to safety and health issues. They have employees with more than one skill and do many jobs. They are very flexible. And many staff members identify with the company. This is the characteristics of our branch. In the first 2 years as a general manager, OSH was handled in a very traditional way. One person, an engineer already retired, was the safety manager. He was in fact not responsible, but his colleagues and even the line managers of the production sites thought that OSH was his job and not their job. He was not very successful in that time. He did his duty. He tried to work compliant. In 2005, we started with the reorganization and modernization to improve productivity. A lot of construction and new machines were done. And we made investments in technical equipment and investment in a new organization structure. But in spite of this investments in a lot of million euros, the number of accidents kept high, and we had 2 very serious accidents in 2006. What could be done? The idea, make it my own issue, give the prevention of accidents and diseases top priority. Because I was convinced that leadership is necessary. But how could I do this? A guide with 7 golden rules for employers and managers did not exist yet. In the year 2005, when we started the reorganizational process, the 7 golden rules did already exist, but only as 7 single factors with different importance, not as a whole system as we know now. OSH science were a puzzle of several counties, as you can see here: policy, technical science, law, medicine, natural science, management science, educational science, and psychology. OSH sciences were not integrated yet in that decade. So it was a big challenge to cope with all these practical OSH problems in reality. My conviction, OSH targets can only be reached when technical modernization, organization, and behavior measures work hand in hand. We started an integrated approach, but without, we say, Vision Zero guidelines. The following slides show OSH measures of the last 15 years sorted according to the 7 golden rules. First, golden rule number 1, take leadership. At first, I have to be sure that you, means me, myself, was convinced about improving OSH in the company. A leader, a director, a CEO has to be convinced. After that, try to convince the shareholders and the board members. This is hard work. I give some advice for behavioral aspects for leaders to have a successful work. Act like a role model, behave like you want others to behave, reach agreements about OSH, keep on the OSH issue, hold on to it, even if other very important issues come into the focus. Keep talking about the issues. For instance, in regular meetings, behave consequently. OSH issues became important for us. We gave time to talk about it. We made so-called 5-minute checks before work starts. This is, as you can see, before work starts, people can talk, and we gave the time. We made OSH visible. We had these jackets special for us. We made own posters, and we made it visible. I think this was very important. Instruments for making OSH important and visible. Apply luminous colors, posters and pictures. Repeat messages, use clear symbols and messages, and create your own occupational safe and healthy culture and your own brand. This is very important that the staff identifies with that culture. Golden rule number 2, identify hazards. Every accident that happened was analyzed and talked about. We gave the time for discussing these issues. Improvements have been developed to avoid similar accidents. Risks were documented and became part of the regular annual safety instruction. This is compliance, but it is important to do this and not feel like a duty. This is good work for OSH. Golden rule number 3, define targets. 4 times a year, we had special safety meetings with the production managers, the safety engineer, and the workers' council. In Germany, they are called ISSA meetings. In the first meeting of the year, targets have been defined, and the measures to reach the targets were discussed. In the other meetings, we control the progress of the measures. Golden rule number 4, ensure a safe system. For our safety, it was very important to change the organizational structure of the company, regulate the responsibilities, this is very, very important, and define a clear structure. We developed organigrams about responsibilities in the line, communicated them to the staff, and kept them in time. We increased the number of first aiders. This was very important too, to strengthen the health and the feelings of safety. We installed an OSH system for other companies, which worked in our factories and quarries. A QM system ISO 9001 was installed. Golden rule number 5, ensure safety and health in machines. A new effective and safe blasting method was installed in the quarry. 2 of our production plants were totally rebuilt. 2 old production plants were closed down, and the production process was changed to a mobile production. Automatic warning systems have been installed to reduce risks. Production and transport were controlled by computer system. You can see this on the next slide. Here you can see that the production was controlled with computer-aided systems. Golden rule number 6, improve qualifications. We offered seminars about OSH for managers, foremen, and workers. We worked together with the Berufsgenossenschaft RCI, Labor Inspection Services in Germany. We improved and increased educational training with training on the job and learned from the colleague. Improved OSH instructions, combined seminars and computer-aided instructions. We offered regular safety trainings for drivers of dump trucks, excavators, and loaders. We offered safety trainings for trainees and apprentices, and we made an onboarding training for new employees. Golden rule number 7, invest in people, listen to them and their ideas. We installed an employee suggestion system for occupational safety and health combined with grants. We gave time and space to solve social problems between staff members, improving working atmosphere, and use tools like mediation and moderation. We gave time to learn, training on the job. This is very important, especially for elder people in the staff who have to work on a new machine or have to drive a new excavator. They need more time, but they can learn. Look at the individual problems and help to solve them. Support new ideas, for instance, the idea of the Health Day in 1913 and 1916. So here you can see some photos of the Health Days in 2016. We offered health courses and courses to prevent diseases. We made ICOH worthwhile. The labor inspection service in Germany for quarries gives financial and communicational support for a lot of measures that can help to prevent accidents and diseases. We got a grant for a wireless data transfer from the electronic balance to loader to prevent overload. This is one example for this. Results: we could reduce accidents at work, and most of the employees are convinced about the importance of safety and health at the working place. In 2002, we had about 1,003 hours times absent caused by accidents. In 2007, we had no accident in the company, and this was a very big success. Later, the number of accidents were decreasing, but we never had 0 again. In 2008, we had 410 hours times absent. In 2009, 160, and in 2010, 201. So as you can see, the prevention and the reduction of accidents in work became an important issue, and we had still accidents, but their number was decreasing significantly. As you can see, one quarry was without accident 5 years, over 5 years, and others for 2 or 3 years. The accident that happened to the people happened to unexperienced, not trained employees, very experienced employees, and happened in case of activities that did not belong to the normal production process. So I come to the conclusion: improving operational health and safety at work and keep it important as an everlasting process, especially in small and medium-sized companies. ICOH at a production site is like a pilgrimage, 2 steps forward and 1 backward. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bettina, for that very interesting sharing from you on the growth of your company, from having several injuries and accidents to a decreasing number as to date. And indeed, stories, actual stories, real stories from the ground bring to life how principles and concepts of ICOH are implemented and the eventual impact, either success or failure on the working lives of our workers and employees. And as we can see, leadership, as far as ICOH is concerned, should be innovative. And in the final analysis, leadership should be transformational towards zero accident and zero death in the workplace. Our next speaker is Olga Bogdanova. She will talk on Vision Zero, flexibility and cooperation for the unthinkable and unexpected risks. Well, because we do not always live in the usual, normal, and peaceful milieu. Sometimes we find ourselves embroiled in the conflicts of nations, war, and unrest. Olga is a PhD in engineering, grad IOSH, and the chairperson of the board of the European Society of Occupational Safety and Health in Ukraine. Dr. Olga is an occupational safety and health specialist in the gas and oil industry and a Vision Zero trainer. She heads the Society of Occupational Safety and Health Professionals in Ukraine. Unfortunately, there is a heavy war going on around her, so Olga has temporarily taken refuge in Germany and continues to work to prevent accidents and help workers in her country. Her topic, Vision Zero, flexibility and cooperation for the unthinkable and unexpected risks based on current what and all of us to hear about ICOH during challenging times. Dr. Olga Bogdanova.
Hello to everyone, and let me start first of all of words of thank you very much to everyone who helped other persons, other countries in times of difficulties. And let me share my experience, what do we have, and I do hope that this experience can be not useful for you personally, but if you know a country that suffers from difficulties, please, you are very welcome to help. So what is the role of Vision Zero in time of unthinkable and unexpected risk? Let me start from words of Martin Luther King. He said that an ultimate measure of a man is not what we do in comfortable times, but exactly where we are in time of challenge. And in peaceful time, I would say that my beautiful mother city, Kiev, and we do Vision Zero racing, Vision Zero bicycle race, jogging, so any very, very funny things, good things. And from the peaceful society, starting from the February last year, now we are facing a very complete another situation, ruinations, deaths, and everything. The war is in my country. And of course, first feeling was that health and safety cannot exist in such conditions where you are under bombing, but in reality, we know that energy supply is working, emergency service is working, physicians are in place, utility service, food enterprises. So a lot of people are in place, and they all demand health and safety even more than before. And just I will show you some examples how, for example, protective equipment was changed during last year as normal gas oil protection clothing. But in time of war, we have almost military helmet, military shells, because we need to produce gas, but we need to, of course, to protect our people. And if you think, well, who is interested in training and during war? On the contrary, we continue with training. On the contrary, people want to develop themselves. They want to know more and think about the best future. And that's why people in Ukraine, they still provide and conduct training for their employees. For example, when before it was outside, now it's in bomb shelters, but it's still running. What challenges are we facing, and all other countries in times of military conflicts? I would say the first one is mental health, and it's, you know, it's a massive and it's a huge problem, not now and afterwards. And risk acceptance. You can imagine that you have some attacks, air attacks, but you don't think about near misses. You don't think about how tired you are, but it still exists. And so this risk acceptance has been dramatically changed. Other things is demolition and all this house safety issues dealing with ruinations are in place, with collapse and with asbestos. 40% of our buildings are built with asbestos, and you can imagine how many ruinations we have. Disabled people, they are ready, they want to work, but do we ready with working places for such people that we have a lot and we will have in the future more and more? So what do we think about it? And if we admit the situation, we understand how difficult, and we think, well, rebuilding, it's too early. It's not. For example, this bridge that is constructed, right, because the main one was ruined, and as well the construction is going and going now, and of course there will be more ahead, and it is exactly the role of Vision Zero. We don't want to lose people. We don't want to lose people in peaceful construction, and exactly Vision Zero as idea, it should take a leading role in all rebuilding after heavy military conflicts. So you can ask me what help you can provide and what help do you need. Usually we say, so what we need everything. So training, of course, in time of war, first aid. But not only. Work at height work, works in confined space, they are in place. So harmful substances, everything that you know you can easily share with countries that suffer from conflicts. Protective equipment, of course, we have some, but we use it more in more difficult conditions. And of course, it's in a big demand. And for example, protection equipment against asbestos, it's how it looks in reality. So they have something, but how it should be, you know very well. So it should be completely another more strong protection. And of course, training to it, because without training, no one uses it. as well as demining. Ukraine is now 40% of our countries with mines, and that means for us it's a long story. And if you have some experience, you are very welcome to share, as well as new designing. There is our underground that was immediately, and now it's immediately transferred into bomb shelter. And of course, every enterprise now, they want to have something like bomb shelters, say, offices. And that's why this level of safety and security we should foresee for the future. And you may think now, yes, well, what could be my role? I'm just a small person, and what can I do? In fact, everyone can interfere. Everyone can do something. So all our life, all our activities consist of small steps, and your choice should be should, can, may, or not as your involvement. But from my experience, I was confused in the beginning because some of our colleagues, they said, well, we are out of politics, it's war from between some politicians, we don't need to interfere and we cannot impact, but not. In reality, we are persons of one of the most peaceful job, one of the most peaceful profession, and that's why health and safety should stay in the first line against any military aggression, against any military conflicts. Everything should be solved and speaking in round table in discussion. Another point is, I said that knowledge, we think who cares about knowledge in time of war? Knows people want to develop, they want to think about future. It helps to win in this war. And so what you can also do, definitely you have your resources, I mean sites, presentations or something. You can easily translate it into language that you need people need it, for example, the language of countries that you want to help. It can be Ukrainian, like one of my favorite platform, knowledge platform, Prevention Forum Plus did. They just put Ukrainian into the interface and translated some materials to make it available to people. And so language that really now from countries that need some response and help will be very, very thankful to you. As well, by the way, the Vision Zero, when you put it is free of charge, this platform, and when you put Vision Zero, you will see what is going on in other countries, because it is divided into field of law, and you can see what is Vision Zero in Germany and Switzerland and other countries. So there is a QR code and you can jump in. I will share some another sources with QR code. So please, you are welcome to jump in or find the event presentation. As well as insurance companies, organizations in Germany where I'm located now, they share their materials in Ukrainian, and as well is very helpful, because you can imagine that people in Ukraine, they don't have enough time and sometimes even availability, possibility to create something, but it's good to have it ready and share between people, because we still continue to work with fight, with fire, with all this, with transportation, electricity, so on. So the translation is something that it's maybe the easiest is the first way. And of course, together with the great support of Vision Zero, with the great support of Mr. Helmut Ennis, with a great support of health and safety specialists from Germany, we have opened a Help Alliance for Ukrainian workers. And I would say, actually, you see Mariah, so what was a presentation on an ENSPA event, and the idea that it's purely for health and safety specialists to unite their efforts in our fields and to share for countries that need support. And this model, it didn't exist before, so it can be used for any other dramatic situation, natural disasters or something where health and safety can and should take a role, and they can help. So you can see also QR code and jump in. And some, for example, safety glasses, you know, well, I have some safety glasses that I don't need, or some gloves. You can send it to any countries, they will say you thank you. Or now we are providing webinars, free webinars for Ukrainian specialists on health and safety from 7 different countries. There are speakers, and you can imagine we have 700 registration in Ukraine. So people, even in time of war, they want to have more information. They want to think about future. And when we talk about future, ISSA Mining has created a very good team that I'm very honored to be a part of it. The name is TAU Training Academies University. We also think that in some difficult time, we need to think about future, about our young generation. And we do hope that Vision Zero will be a part of university curriculum, at least for main universities in the world. And that's why I task of this team to create a very clear programs that can be used by any university in the world. And if you feel that your university, your organization can be part of this project, please contact me or Helmut or any from organizers. And again, I'm not talking about Ukraine only. It's February, Turkey and Syria suffered from such heavy earthquake. I'm so proud that Ukrainian emergency service went to Turkey to help them. People who have some difficulties, they understand each other, and of course, just think that every help is always in demand in place where there is a problem, I would say. And let me finish also with some quote from Bertrand Russell. He says that only things that will redeem mankind is cooperation. I do persuade you to join our cooperation with any means that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olga, for that wonderful talk about ICOH in Ukraine and related stories. Okay. Indeed, ICOH cannot be dismissed or installed during times of war and security risks. ICOH, I believe, is neutral. ICOH is not political. So ICOH should always be an integral part of the work environment, whether during peace or during conflict. Our last but not the least speaker will talk on the future projects of Vision Zero. Helmut Ennis also gave the first talk in part 1 of this webinar series last January 25. Helmut was educated at the Technical University of Munich, Germany, and studied mechanical engineering. He began his working career as a project leader for an Indonesian-German research and development project. He joined the German statutory social accident insurance in 1983. Currently, he holds different management positions in the International Social Security Association. He has recently been elected as president of the mining section of ISSA. In addition, he is the technical secretary of the ISSA trade section and the chairperson of the Vision Zero Screening Committee of ISSA. He is also regarded as the founding father of Vision Zero. Now, to talk on what's next, the future projects of Vision Zero, Helmet Ennis.
Thank you very much, Chinky. Thank you for not calling me the grandfather of Vision Zero, but only the father. And yes, thank you for this wonderful cooperation between ICOH MinOSH and ISSA Mining. And yeah, now, unfortunately, you have to listen to my second presentation. Let me share my screen. So I think you see it. This final presentation is a kind of outlook, what's coming up, what's next. And I want to present you, to bring you 5 future steps to Vision Zero, where we currently are working on. And please let me first remind all of us that this initiative, this strategy, it was, when we began with Vision Zero, it was a campaign, but meanwhile it's a movement, it's an initiative. It starts from compliance, but it goes beyond compliance. And we all have to care, like those leaders we could listen today in this webinar. And why? Because everybody has the human right to return safe and healthy from his work back home every day. So we cannot accept accidents, we cannot accept injuries or harm. We must try to prevent them all. And we have 3 pillars: safety, health, and well-being. And we have the 7 golden rules of Vision Zero, and we know, and we got some examples today, that if we can manage to implement them in the workplaces, and you must look to all of these 7 golden rules, these 7 topics, and it's no matter how you call them, you can call them in a different way, but these are the elements you have to build on, and then you can use this road to a culture of prevention and coming closer and closer to our dream, which is Vision Zero. Yes, and I think in order to connect to Olga's speech, we live in a world of crisis. We have war, we have earthquake, we have climate change, and we should, all of us, all the safety and the health experts, we should leave our comfort zone and we should leave our silo thinking, because the world is connected and we do everything always for the same people. The people are not divided. The people at the workplaces are the same people than in private life and in our society. So this is what we have to care. And meanwhile, we have a remarkable toolbox. We have tools for Vision Zero. We learned about the environmental guide and others, and the leading indicators, and we try to increase, to let it grow in order to continue this implementation process anywhere in the world. So I bring the first idea, what's next, how to implement Vision Zero in industry in a company. And I can connect to the previous speakers because we have a 12-step recommendation. It's not a prescription, it's one way, but there are different ways. It's flexible. So you should start to work on creating a commitment in the company to agree this is our duty. Then you should probably organize some workshops to create and to raise the awareness and to increase competence. You can start using the first product, which is the Vision Zero Guide, to do a first self-assessment and also to get inspiration. Then you can set up where because you get a feedback on the good things and the deficits in your workplace, you can set up an action plan. And then you can go to the leading indicators concept and choose some of them. You must not start with 14 indicators, as Gerard said, and you should decide how you want to use them. If you just say yes or no, or if you want to count the activities, you can set up your targets, and then you must implement these activities, and you must measure them or observe them, compare with the targets and evaluate, and then update your strategy. So this is a way, step by step, to increase the Vision Zero mindset in all people's minds in the company. My second offer to you is to talk about how can Vision Zero be implemented in countries. Because meanwhile, we are convinced we need country approaches. It cannot be brought everything from outside, from Geneva, where our headquarters from ISSA is, or other places. We need some actors, some activities in the countries. And a lot of countries are on this way. I just mentioned some of them here, but also industries are on the way, like the lime industry, where I have some knowledge. And we are very happy that the European Union now calls all the member states to work towards Vision Zero in their strategic framework on health and safety. And they work with the member states and the social partners in order to organize a change in the new world of work, to improve prevention of accidents and illnesses, and to increase preparedness for new crises or for health crises. And what are they doing? The measures which are planned from the European Union are the same what we do. You have to look to good data, you have to analyze the causes, you must include a tripartite approach, so use the social dialogue, you must increase awareness and all of this, and you must develop the competence of employers and managers. So this is Europe, and this is an example how we are developing Vision Zero in one of the countries where we are active. This is an example from Pakistan, and I don't want to go in all the details, but We will also offer these presentations later on for all of you. So in this project, we started with an inventory phase. Then we did an analysis, what's good, what can be improved. And then we had some future steps to identify targets, to identify the measures which can be done in the national strategy. And then you come to the implementation phase. And again, you must see, is it working or must I update the strategy? And the document of the national strategy on Vision Zero and ICOH in the Punjab province has these components. So you must find a name of this activity. You need something like a basic statement. You have to identify the owners and the stakeholders. Do it in a way that you have a round table and have a place for everybody to create winners and no losers. So cooperation is key. And then you need targets, you talk about timelines, and you make it very concrete. What are the activities? What are the measures? And you need some national structures also. And I think it's good to have a national annual strategy or Vision Zero conference to present, also to do the communication of the achieved things. This is another example. If we come to the detailed activities, we do it in that way. We have this kind of fact sheet. So we describe what it is, what shall be done. We describe who is responsible, who leads the activity, who takes part, and what is expected to be achieved. So these are some inspirational thinking for how to implement it in your country. Maybe you can become the engine and the driving force for your country, wherever you are. Number 3 of my outlook is the topic of well-being. And I think we see it all again and every time. We are still very much focused on safety, but we have to upgrade the health topic and we need to look to the well-being of people. And in the Vision Zero, our definition is that we say well-being at work, and we mean mental health at work, refers to the active promotion, maintenance, and sustainability of healthy psychosocial working conditions, so that workers' mental health and ability to work productively and creatively are maintained. And well-being is affected by workplace design, by work organization, and by human factors. And I'm convinced leadership is the key as well for well-being. We are very happy that now we have published the new tool, which there is a guide for well-being, a Vision Zero guide for well-being. And you see here the content. So far it's in English only, but other languages will come. And it's free to download from the visionsero.global website. And you see the content, and you see that we talk about how to develop a healthy psychosocial work environment and promote well-being at work. And there is also a model included, the enterprise well-being majority model. That's a tool. So I would recommend to have a look, and you find chapters like this in this new guide. If you want to identify if there is a reason for you to care and to use this new guide, you can look to these questions. Are your employees regularly reporting that they are stressed? Have you noticed as a leader communication problems or conflicts? Are your staff absent frequently in a short way or in a longer term? Are there issues with productivities and errors? Is staff complaining, meeting work and life demands? To combine it, yeah? Is your enterprise attractive for new qualified staff? Do you feel as a leader that you should show more commitment to well-being? If you say yes, then it's the case to look in this new guide. And you find descriptions like these potential healthy and unhealthy dimensions, like have you a control of your work, what is the job content, and all of this. So I will not go in the detail. And you find a way how to create a recommendation, how to create a healthy work and environment and how to promote it. And it's the traditional process. You must first, you need the visible leadership, then you assess where you are, you prioritize and you plan action, you implement it and you evaluate. So this is the cycle of continuous improvement. And this maturity model tool, I mentioned it already, has components from 10 components, so 10 elements in this tool. And this is a bad photography, but we ask about the senior leader commitment and others, and you can do the rating where you are in your company answering this 6-step approach. So this is number 3, and coming to number 4. And number 4 is the topic of supply chain, because we learned it in the pandemic that we are very much dependent on supply chain. And the world is only maybe one supply chain if you go in the details. And the sensitivity, what is the working condition where the supply chain starts, is increasing more and more. And customers are asking about the quality regarding safety, health, and well-being. So therefore, we have a new project in the Vision Zero movement to improve safety, health, and well-being at workplaces along global supply chains by Vision Zero. What is a supply chain? I would say it's like these pearls on a string. And of course, that was an easy supply chain. Sometimes these chains are much more complex, or much more complex if you have more than one supplier, so they can be parallel. But they can also look like this. 2 chains become one. So you must, first of all, you must identify your chain. And this is a symbolization of such a chain. It starts with the raw material. And I think mining, it starts either in mining or it starts on the field, agriculture, where every supply chain begins. And then you have processing, shipping, transporting, processing, other step. And then you bring a product on the market. And what do we have to do? We must look for the maturity level of every pearl in this supply chain. So we must look for safety, health, and well-being. We have to use the 7 golden rules and the indicators, but we must also add more the social standards, the environmental standards, and others. So we are working on such a tool for supply chain. It's not yet published. We are in a process to collect feedback from stakeholders. And an important thing is this SHW plus. I will explain it later a little bit more. We will have a chapter how to start in this complex topic, and then we offer a 4-step approach, to take the initiative to assess the supply chain, to implement action, and to improve communication and collaboration. So what means SHW+? It is more than good safety, good health, and good well-being at workplaces. For this, you can use the 7 golden rules, you can use the Vision Zero guide, but you must add human and social rights and fundamental principles. So no child labor, forced labor, no long working hours, freedom of association, collective bargaining, no discrimination, and adequate living wages. This is what we want to add. And this collection of safety, health, and well-being, plus these fundamental social rights, this defines the level to be achieved at every single pearl in the supply chain. And this is described, and there is a checklist in this new guide which is coming. And the idea what we have is that supply chains may be complex or very complex, but any actor in a supply chain can take the action. Maybe most of the time it will be that company who brings a product on the market, but it can also be another actor in such a chain. And the aim of this guide is to raise awareness and to help to improve, and to help to improve your own levels. Second, to identify the partners and to prioritize the main supply chain partners. Third, to start a process to improve SHW+ along the supply chain, and to achieve continuous improvement and to build sustainable collaboration between supply chain partners. So this is the idea and the aim of this new project. And let me come to the final topic. What's next? We have another activity, and this is we think about the role of labor inspectors and labor inspections, because we have many countries in the world where this is the only external input coming to companies and to industry. So they have a role, but what kind of role? And we work together with the International Association of Labor Inspectors and want to produce another new guide for labor inspectors, how they can benefit from Vision Zero. There is a discussion of what is the main target, the main activity of labor inspection. Between some say enforcement. What's about advice? The Labor Inspection Convention C081 clearly points out that the function of labor inspection shall be first to secure the enforcement of the legal provisions regarding safety, health, and welfare, as they call it, and second, on the same level, to supply technical information and advice to the employers and to the workers concerning the most effective means of complying with the legal provisions. So they have the duty to deliver advice, but to do it, they need competence. So in my perspective, enforcement and advice by the labor inspectors has to go hand in hand. And therefore, we want to elaborate this guideline to address, to give something in the hands of labor inspectors to support this Vision Zero movement. And the content will be, as you can see here, and the main tool for the labor inspectors will be a prevention culture quick check, which is designed for labor inspectors based on Vision Zero. And I give you one example. For every golden rule, there will be two checkpoints to see the prevention culture level in the company they are inspecting. And the one example is take leadership, demonstrate commitment. There is an intro text, and then we ask the question, the level of implementation can be rated by answering the following key questions. Action and demonstrated leadership by the CEO and by the senior management team are observable. Either no observation, second, mission statement available, principle signed, responsibilities clear. So this is basic, I would say. SHW is a topic in all meetings. Innovative activities can be seen, can be identified. 3 and 4 is CEO leadership is very well known, is visible and credible, and leading as a role model is confirmed by the workers. So you will ask workers probably. Finally, the highest level is employees confirm the importance of SHW, so safety, health, and well-being, shown by the top management visibly and credibly. And then you can make a rating, and finally you can evaluate this, and you have an idea where this company stands. And if you identify there should be improvement, you can recommend Vision Zero tools. So this will come. Let me close my presentation by summarizing. We have a lot of global challenges. We have pandemic, we have war, we have earthquake, we have climate change, and we are looking for solutions, and I just mentioned some of them. And traditionally, we said we must find a strategy for every one of these challenges. But my message today is, let's use Vision Zero, like presented by Mireia regarding the environmental topic, and like presented by Olga with this unbelievable risks and challenges created by war situations and others. Let's use one concept, because the people we are working with are all the same. We cannot divide their brain. So these are the same, and we should not confuse them. So my message is, let's use it, do it by Vision Zero, and there is only one Vision Zero and one concept, one set of golden rules. And this is the end of my presentation. I think we as people, as experts who care for people, it is our duty to implement this preventive mindset, not only at the workplace, but in our societies. So let's work together for decent work in a global world of crisis. Thank you very much. And I think that was a great webinar so far, but now we have an open forum to ask questions. Thank you.
Jinky, you are muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Helmut, for sharing with us the various tools in applying the 7 golden rules of Vision Zero and its applicability to our companies and in our milieu. A very important highlight in the talk of Helmut is the global supply chain, or the global production process. Both the back end and the front end processing should incorporate OSH. The back end part of the global production chain is usually where the manufacturing is conducted or carried out, and usually in low and middle income economies, while the front end of the global production and supply chain is located in high income economies. So as discussed by Helmut, OSH should be integrated in each phase of the global production and supply chain. Now, we go to our open forum. Thank you again, our speakers, for the informative and insightful talks on OSH and the Vision Zero. Our moderators for today are Professor Mukhtaruddin Mansour, and he will be assisted by Dr. Jen Liem Phuc from Indonesia. Professor Mukhtaruddin Mansour is the director of the Regional Center for Food and Nutrition of the Southeast Asian Ministry of Education, or SIMIO REFCON. He is a professor at the Community Medicine Department of the Universitas Indonesia. He is a medical doctor, which he earned from Universitas Indonesia, and PhD in health and community care from Leeds, United Kingdom. Professor Mukhtar is also currently the secretary of ICOH MinOSH. Dr. Liem Phuc is an MD and PhD as well from Universitas Indonesia. Dr. Liem and Dr. Tuhir are our Zoom providers. Please type in your questions in the chat box in order for the Zoom host to see and direct to our moderators and speakers. We will appreciate if you can identify yourself, your name, your country, and your affiliation. The floor is now open for questions. Professor Mukhtar and Liem.
Okay, well, thank you, Jim, for your kind introduction. And thank you very much to our presenter for sharing your valuable experience and also such great presentations, which were very clear and addressed very practical topics. Here, I would like to read some question for our speakers here. And for the first opportunity, I will forward a question for Professor Gerard. One question is, how do you see the value of traditional indicators like LTIs compared to the proactive leading indicators? What do you see about it, Prof? You are still muted, Gerard.
Yes, thank you for your question. I think it's a good question because a lot of companies use the lost time indicators or maybe sickness absence percentage as indicators for the status in safety and health. And they are valuable because they give a picture of what was until now the situation. And the situation until now has also some relevance for the near future. That is like when a company makes a good profit last year, they probably will function well the coming year, but you never know. There can be things which change the situation, and also the lost time injuries frequency, they don't tell you what you have to do to improve. They only tell you you are good or you are not so good or whatever. So I think there is a kind of balance between the so-called lagging indicators like the lost time injuries and the proactive leading indicators, whereby the proactive leading indicators you see key activities for improving safety, health, and well-being at work. So it is about the process which you try to measure. Is your process okay? And the lagging indicators measure the outcome. The outcome is in the future the performance in terms of health performance and the number of diseases or the number of accidents or the frequency. So they are complementary, but you cannot manage outcomes. You can only manage processes. So if you want to improve, you have to focus on the leading indicators. And if you want to know where you are, you can also look at the combination of leading indicators and lagging indicators. I hope that is sufficient for the moment, but if there are many more questions, then I can elaborate on it.
Okay, Prof, may I continue with this a question regarding your explanation? Because I think it's very interesting. Will you explain more about how are the proactive leading indicators also useful for developing a proactive safety culture?
Yes, well, the culture, there are different opinions about the culture, but the culture is represented on the one hand, the things which are organized for prevention, and on the other hand, there is an informal culture in organizations where people do not always follow the procedures as described. That was already mentioned by Mr. Ricardo Vibes as an issue in the organization. So you want to have both the formal organization and the informal things in the organization going in the direction of improving safety, health, and well-being. And several of our indicators address both the more easy to arrange things like making an action plan and implementing that, but also the informal relationships and thinking. It was called several times the mindset by Mr. Helmut Haynes. And I think that especially the leading indicators for leadership, but also the indicators for the improving and recognizing the activities of the workers are very important for improving the culture. And in fact, all the 7 golden rules point in the same direction. So every single indicator and every single golden rule will contribute a bit to achieving a good proactive culture. But the leadership and working with the people and recognizing them and rewarding them, that are the most important things for achieving a better culture.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Prof. Gerard. Well, I would like to move on. Question for Mireia. Thank you for your representation earlier this session, Mireia. I have a question for you regarding how is the process of implementation of Vision Zero, based on your experience, and it will lead to the another maybe some question about this, but that is the leadership is a main factor for those implementation.
Thanks, Liam, for your questions and for everything. Well, I mean, leadership is one of the main points of the Vision Zero initiative, and the Vision Zero vision, I mean, mindset. So if there is not leadership about environment, we will never be success, our guide. It doesn't matter, you know, if you really want to implement it, if you are not really engaged, if you have no leadership about the implementation, it will never be a success. And that means, for example, if those companies who has implemented health and safety guide, environment will be so easy, because as I have said, you know, we are on the 7 golden rules oriented to environment. So we are going to use the same questionnaire, the same panel and checklist, to incorporate in our daily work the environment aspect that should be taken in account. So for those companies that are not really, engaged to Vision 0 initiative, health and safety, the main goal with the environment is really through the leadership is to sit down and think what are affecting my company, my process, production process is affecting the environment. So it's easy if you see that you are doing emissions, if you are doing some effluence, if you see that your noise is so high, maybe you will have to take in account that the concern that environment should be taken in account in your company. So and this is a main point for the small and medium companies, because anyone who wants to get involved, anyone who wants to get in sustainability in their business must sit down and think what I am doing or what I have to do to implement my Vision 0 environment guide.
All right. Thank you, Mireia, for your kind explanation. Well, we have a question here in the Q&A box, a question for Olga from Diogo Silva. How are you dealing with risk and production? I mean, how do you measure the risk and say the benefits are greater than the risk? Okay, this is for Olga. Hello, Olga. Hello. Olga, you are still muted. Hello. Olga.
Maybe I can try to give an answer to the question if Olga is not there. Is that okay?
She's on.
Yeah, I think that it is a relevant question, because the balance between safety, health, and well-being on the one side and production and being profitable is always a kind of potential tension, and not only in potential. And I think that if it is rather simple. If you have your production well organized, then safety and health and well-being are more or less under control. And then you can give priority as a manager to being productive and to the economic aspects of it. On the other hand, there are some critical moments, for instance, in the design stage, or for instance, if you see that there is something happening which is not normal, where safety and health should have the first priority. It is always the case that an accident or an incident is always, it costs a lot of money. So it goes together with cost saving if you prevent it. But of course, production is the primary activity of an organization. So you organize that in a decent way, and then safety and health is no problem. But there can be only a tension, and one of the things that we know is that if you have long-term cost-saving programs due to competition, due to the economic situation, then there is a tendency to reduce maintenance, to work with less qualified but cheaper people, things like that, and that may imply a new risk. And then safety and health become at risk. And I think that good leaders should be very much aware of this balance between productivity and safety and health, and also be very keen to this potential process which is called drift to danger. If you have too many or too long cost reductions, and not only one but several, then they can interact, and then they can really decrease safety, and that's not, of course, the intention. So I hope that is a good answer for the moment, but if you want to know more, ask again.
Oh, thank you, Gerard. Olga, do you want to elaborate more? Yes, please.
Just a small thank you very much, Professor. I do support your point of view, and I would like also to add. So I was seeing in my eyes one project of lean production, on course for more devoted to more productivity, and people understood in reality that more productivity, that means more speedy, and they can miss some safety instruction. And what did they have as a result? Of course, they obtained some heavy accidents. And after this accident, they decided, no, it's obviously that every lean production program should be in compliance with health and safety, and they should go together. And it just live examples that cannot exist good productivity without safety. So it should be included in a part of this lean process. Thank you.
All right.
Can I add two points?
Yes, please, Helmut.
Yes, I would like to add, I completely agree what's been said. What you have to do is you must avoid improvisation. You must be aware what is done, how work is done, and how it should be done. And another aspect I would like to mention, one of the problem is if you see safety and health and well-being as a cost factor. It is not a cost factor, it is an investment. And of course, there can be challenges to cut down investments as well, but never start with safety, health, and well-being, because you will pay double at the end.
Okay, thank you, Helmut. Well, Bettina, please, if you want to add more.
I have a short remark to that issue. I have experiences with this topic, cost or OSH, and I can say OSH does not make anything more expensive, because if you have less absence because of the less accidents, you have more, you can earn more money then. So normally it's the opposite, it's the other way around.
All right. Okay, thank you, Bettina. Well, this of course a very large comment from our speakers. And another question is from Timothy. Presenteeism is regarded as a major challenge to the well-being and productivity of workers. How best can this be identified and addressed? Well, may I ask Bettina to answer this question? Maybe we will share your point of view about this, Bettina.
Can you repeat it, please? I did not get it.
Yeah, the presenteeism is regarded as a major challenge to the well-being and productivity of workers. How best can this be identified and addressed?
Not easy to understand it for me. Can you put it in other words?
Okay. This is written in the Q&A, Bettina, from Timothy, or maybe Helmut or Gerard, you will try to answer first, And we are going to Bettina again.
Yeah, I can say something about it. Presenteeism is the term which is used when people are at work, but they are not working with their normal productivity because, for instance, they are tired
Okay.
or they
Now I
are
get it.
distracted.
Okay.
And I think my main recommendation was read the new guide for well-being and Vision Zero, because this is mainly a mental issue. It means, in fact, that people are at work, but mentally they are not fully working. And so I would recommend to use the guide for the well-being. Maybe Helmut can add something about it.
Yeah, I think the main thing is really visible and active leadership. If you have a leader for these workers who are maybe who feel ill or are not able to work, but don't dare to stay at home because they have they probably think they could lose their job if they stay at home and recover. I think the leader that's his role, to identify, to see it, what is the situation of the worker, and also to care for a climate on the workplaces that people can trust, and they don't come only because they fear, but they say, today it's not possible, I have to recover, but tomorrow I'm 100% fit again. So this is my perspective. And I want to mention, I don't know if you saw all the new well-being guideline. I put it to the chat, but I'm not sure if everybody has access. We will distribute it. I think it's not already, it's brand new. It's not on the website, but it will be there soon. But I have it, and we can distribute it after the webinar to all participants.
Yes, I understood what is meant. I have experiences with people who are not motivated anymore, and the sign for this are often long absences, long terms of absences of diseases, and nobody knows which disease the worker or the employee has. And what helps and bring them back is to talk with them and invite them to talk about what we can do at the working place to make the situation better. And this is a very successful method. But you need time, and you need people who are encouraged to do this. Not everybody, not every foreman, not every manager is able to talk about these things. It's had to be trained too, but this is a real problem.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Well, the time's running very fast, and there's still a lot of questions here, but I have to pick the last one question that may be applied for all of the speakers. What leadership style and people engagement approach would be the best to be adopted to influence managers' mindset to grow a belief in their inner side that OSH is an investment, not cost? Well, it's open for you, all speakers.
Who wants to
yes,
start?
Maybe, yeah. Who wants to start? Okay.
What leadership?
Well, that's a little, oh, sorry. Whoa, yeah.
Okay, Mireia, please.
Okay, mainly it's, I mean, depends what you think. Leadership is not a theater where you are an actor. If you believe, you will transmit what you believe. So the main point in that, when you want to create a culture prevention or environment or whatever type of culture, is that you really believe what are you going to do or what you want to implement. And after then you have to be able to transmit to your employees, because maybe you believe, but maybe you don't have the way to communicate. So communication skills are one of the main points too.
Oh, a very good point, Mireia. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to add that some managers have also personal experiences with being stressed or having being involved in an accident, and such experiences can be very helpful, though you don't want them. But if you have once experienced something like that, then people have a better feeling and better understanding about the importance of safety and health also for their workers. And the second issue is good listening. And if people are a bit complaining or they are not functioning well, like the topic of presenteeism, see that as a kind of warning system and just start a conversation with them, and with the emphasis on listening and not on telling them what to do.
And I would also leading by example. It's just, you know, very simple, but the right way when people are greatly involved. And for example, you can make a topic and make responsible top manager. He would add, for example, limit the speed of his car. And everyone in the city knows that he always drives with small, not very high speed. It's a very good example. Or with example with safety belts. So it can work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Gerard. Helmut, please.
Let me add something. I worked as a labor inspector for 40 years. And I'm observing that the new generation of leaders is more dedicated, more emotional, more open to be a human than the old generation. So in general, I have hope. But the causes why leaders and managers are what they are very different. Some respond or act to the threat of not compliance and being punished. Some say, I don't want. Some hear the signal only if they have a serious accident, and they must go to the family and ring the bell and bring the information, bring the bad news. Then they change. Of course, it's too late, but better change than never change. And yeah, and some are humans. I would say the leaders have to be humans. They are humans as well. So we must make it more emotional. We must make safety, health, and well-being simpler than we did it in the past. It's not bureaucratic work. It's, you can see it, 90% of safety or unsafety, you can see if you open your eyes. And I was in a big company, a big chemical company last week, and they said, we have a problem with leadership. Yeah, our leaders, our managers are not visible. That most of the time they sit in the office doing some bureaucratic work, filling some reports or whatever, and they are not visible for the workers. So this is a big problem, and I would say you must learn it to be a leader. We have some natural talents, This is a Tau group, Olga. Yeah? You must learn it. We must bring it to the universities, to the management schools. And our recommendation is, if you have a new leader, you give a leadership position to anybody, he should attend a Vision Zero course before he becomes a leader. So this is our offer.
Thank you, Helmut. Bettina, will you add some more regarding this question?
Yes, I would agree. I made the experience that a lot of young leaders, managers who got their job, do not know what is their job in OSH. They don't know it. Because we have in Germany, I don't know in other countries, when somebody is studying a subject at the university, there is no OSH subject. They study chemistry, they study natural sciences, technical sciences, engineers. Even engineers does not learn about OSH in there when they are at the university, and then they come into leading positions and they don't know about it. And I think Helmut is right when he says we have to train the young leaders.
All right, thank you, all speakers. It's a very insightful discussion this evening from Jakarta. Okay. Before I return back this to Jinky, I would like to ask Prof. Muhtar to resume some take-home message for us. Please, Prof.
Well, thank you very much, Lim, for giving me opportunity to give the take-home message from this webinar. Hi, participants, I can see you all are still fresh, wherever you are. We are now approaching the end of our webinar. Before it is formally closed by our chair, Jinky, please let me say some take-home messages from this session. It is a golden time to implement the Vision Zero. Proactively is a strategy that offered by Prof. Gerald, which is not only a strategy, but also a culture. Proactive culture to achieve health, safety, health, and well-being. We have to say many thanks to all speakers for their brilliant presentation and sharing their invaluable experience. Special appreciation to Olga Bogdanova for her commitment for still willing to share the invaluable knowledge and experience, although in the situation of under critical situation pressure. She showed us how important role the occupational health safety profession in the situation of both man-made and natural disasters. She sensitized all of us to take part in solving the global problem. Ricardo and Bettina show us the benefit of Vision Zero implementation. Although Bettina started the Vision Zero without certain guidance available yet, and in fact, she did the 7 golden rules of Vision Zero and take a lot of benefit for the company. Both Ricardo and Bettina emphasized the importance of leadership by showing the commitment as mentioned by Ricardo and as a role model as mentioned by Bettina. Helmut said that we must learn how to be a leader. Mireya brings us to other additional vision of environment. Yes, we agree that health, safety, well-being, and environment should be approached integratively. Yes, our destiny is to build a better future. This is all of us responsibility to protect our next generation. Last but not least, Helmut aims send a message for the next steps activities and emphasize the importance to bring the Vision Zero to be the national program. Technical provision and guidance are available to start the implementation. Well, thank you all speakers and participants for your attention. Back to you, Jinky, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Still muted,
Thank you,
Jinky.
Professor Mukhtar. Thank you again to all our speakers. Thank you as well to our participants from 48 countries. We have 243 registrants. 80 are with us on the average in the Zoom room, but I guess that most of the other registrants have accessed the YouTube link. Indeed, what a wonderful and informative webinar we have had today. A lengthy one, but comprehensive and challenging. And I would like to end by saying that Vision Zero is a shared responsibility of all. I would also like to say that zero means working towards zero injuries, zero fatalities, and zero suffering. It means, as our speakers have reiterated, committing to heart that all unintentional injuries are predictable and preventable. It means that in principle, the only right number and statistics of injuries and fatalities would be zero. And in practice, if zero does not exist, but still we have to be working towards zero. Again, Vision Zero is a shared responsibility of all. In behalf of the organizers, ICOH MinOSH and ISSA Mining, thank you. In Filipino, maraming salamat, mabuhay. The webinar is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Chinky, and the whole team. This is just a beginning. Let's continue this wonderful cooperation. Thank you so much on behalf of ISSA Mining to ICOH MinOSH.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, Jinky.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jinky. Thank you,
See you,
Mukhtar.
Agong.
Thank you, Lien. Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.
Near future.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
The music, no more.
Yeah.
We still have
Sure.
57 registrants.
Music.
Why are you so busy on the line?
Okay. I would say
With
bye-bye.
your head held low and you're walking on the fine line, so you couldn't see the falling powers. Well, a bit too late to realize the safety makes the workplace a haven to be in, and now's the time. This life is staring deep in your eyes. Don't let helmet put them strap on with pride. Staying safe with all your mind. What you say, what you do, but you work it, don't you let it go. This faith is growing strong in your heart. Make a change right from the start, 'cause staying safe in the workplace, it ain't hard. This one's for a workplace, let's live safely. The word is as good as your life. The word is as good as your life. The word is as good as your life. Oh, would you have done better if I told you a letter was all you need to let regret rewind? This life is staring deep in your eyes. Don't let helmet put them strap on with pride. Staying safe with all your might. What you say, what you do, what you work it, don't you let it go. This faith is growing strong in strap on repride, staying safe with all your might. Would you say, would you do it, would you work it, don't you let it go?